I didn't know I had body dysmorphia till a cousin casually mentioned it, and upon reflection, I realized how much I was obsessed with how my body looked all the time, appeared to others, especially the male gaze. How in my head, the perfect body always has labels, stats, every curve, and every line I could draw in my head. And that's the standard I was holding my real body accountable for. Hey guys, this is Rohani. Welcome to a new episode of Renew. Let me start from the beginning. I was a super chubby baby. I remember once in fourth grade, I was sleeping with my grandparents and we were watching TV. I think we were almost done, and this was late in night, where we're on like the floor on the gaddas and we're just like yapping, okay? And for some reason, the conversation was around thighs. And I remember saying that I have like big thighs, and I was so proud of it because I just felt like I was stronger because I had more, right? And somebody just remarked that it's not a good thing. And so simply, something that I was proud of became a flaw. Also, while like growing up, I was constantly reminded that I need to be very careful about what I eat and how I look because my maternal side is really chubby, and genetically, I'm not blessed in that aspect. And very soon, it became a trait that I started resenting. I've never admitted this before, but I've always been super conscious of my thighs, especially my chubby knees. And all my life, I've just wanted model like legs, so I could wear whatever I want. I can wear the shortest dress and it still looks like stunning because in my head, that is what looks, that's how a dress is supposed to look on a body. And I was also told that my legs just make me look shorter, which is apparently another flaw in the way that I look. I have no hate for people who led me to develop these insecurities because hurt people hurt people. Beauty standards don't exist in isolation. They are passed down from generations, reinforced by society, and internalized so deeply that people don't even realizing that they're perpetuating them. But what is my responsibility? Awareness, and awareness followed by actively breaking this cycle, especially against myself. Because at the end of the day, my body is the one thing that's been with me throughout everything, my whole life. And it will be till I die. How can I not appreciate, love, and honor everything that it's done for me till today and for carrying me through life so beautifully? Every time you want to fix something in your life, it's because you're focusing on the glass half empty, on what you lack instead of what you already have. And to be honest, it's very normal for the scarcity mindset to be reinforced. This is basically how the world makes money, by feeding women and everybody else insecurities. What's considered hot and what's not considered hot is so fleeting, and the standards are constantly changing, and they're also different in every country. Everyone is on the Ozempic train today, but I can put my money that in the next 2 years, everybody is going to go back to wanting to be thicker, and they're going to inject cellulite in their butts and their boobs. So your body goals and your self-worth cannot be focused on such fluctuating, fleeting trend cycles. My current body construct is simply a healthy body is a disease-free body, physically and mentally. My goal is to create a balance in which I thrive in both, and this part's really important, motivated by the love for it and not by the fear of being imperfect or not being good enough. Honestly, also stressing about your body and how it's looking is so counterproductive to your goals, especially as females, because stressing spikes your cortisol and it'll just make it that much harder to lose the fat. I have friends, some of them that are conscious of their small boobs, some of them who are conscious of their skinny legs, some who are conscious of their big butts, some who are conscious of their skinny arms, and some who are conscious of their chubby arms. Like, can we stop? Like, this is a never-ending cycle. It's so tiring and it's such a waste of time. We treat our body like objects, like things to be modeled and sculpted and fixed. But don't fix what's not broken. Your insecurity today is literally somebody's dream asset, and it doesn't even matter till you yourself think that your body is one. Once you start believing in this, once you start thinking that your body is an asset and is the sexiest body and it's the standard of the world, the way you move changes. And when the way you move changes, the way you feel changes. And when the way you feel changes, as a whole, your energy changes and your self-love changes. And that resonates into everything that you do and how you conduct yourself and the opportunities that open up for you. And not to mention that just the experience of life becomes that much better. Now let's address the second part of my journey, the male gaze. Ew. Yeah, me, a victim. Yes, unfortunately. Awareness is so powerful. Okay. Long story short, I got hooked onto the attention that I got from boys and men and just people while growing up, and it became my source of validation and my self-worth, and everything started to revolve around it. I remember I used to watch TV shows like How I Met Your Mother, and I was so influenced by Robin's character because both the lead guys were in love with her, and it just to me meant like she is worthy of love. And why? Because she was a cool girl. So I wanted to be the cool girl, and the one who's not emotional but she's hot at the same time. She only wears sundresses even when it's freezing outside. There was this need that every man in the room must think that I am attractive. And the way I stood, the way I speak, the way I dressed, the way I behaved, what I said, what I did not say was influenced and accommodated for that gaze and for that purpose. Girl, have you ever thought that regardless of how you behave, men most likely think that you're attractive anyway? How often was a man that right about something, like his opinion on things that are cool and what's not? Girl, please. I feel like I am realizing that I am so much more than the way that I look. I'm blessed to have what I have in my life and how far it's gotten me. But imagine I end up marrying someone who is interested in me only because of the way I look and like my body. And he does not see me. He does not see my soul, my character, my qualities, my hobbies, my interests. Everything gets overshadowed by my body or the skin on my face. How long is that marriage gonna last? Till he finds a new face and body that he's interested in? Like, have you seen Substance? I would often base my workout strategy on the standards of the men in my life at that point of time and what their preferences were. Slim to thick, again to slim. Like, shut the fuck up. I've been in phases in my life where I am either trying to bulk so hard so I can grow a bigger butt, or I'm struggling to get, like, I'm obsessed with becoming skinny and I'm struggling to starve myself, which leads to a new revelation, an eating disorder. And more than that, just spoiling my relationship with food, which is something that I've always had a great balance and control over. Because I was so obsessed with getting skinny for a stupid boy who told me that he likes skinny girls, and I would think how my legs look nothing like theirs, and I would compare and sulk and obsess, which led me to follow like strict diets with no carbs, only fiber, a little bit of protein, no sugar, with no guidance, first of all, directly jumping straight into it. And of course it went completely south because restriction just does not work in the body like that, and you cannot just break your dopamine addiction by thinking that you can. In fact, it just ends looping you up all the more. I started having cravings that were beyond my control, and it wasn't food that my body craved, it was love. And let me tell you my story. I found that love in chocolate. I would obsessively eat chocolate after every meal, and the guilt of eating it was worse because every time you eat sugar, right, like your brain releases dopamine, and once you allow yourself to eat sugar, especially if you haven't had enough protein in the morning, later on in that day your body is more likely to crave and give in to that need of eating sugar again and again and again. So once I would eat one piece, then it's like, okay, now I want more dopamine, so I'll eat more. And then I'm like, shit, I'm going out of control, and then I'm not reaching my goals. The number on the scale is not going down because I'm not actually in a deficit, because I can't be in a deficit, because I cannot control my need for chocolate and how much I wanted it. Then I'm constantly looking up, like low carb, low caloric meals and workouts and what will work, changing my strategy every week, looking for constant gratification, not seeing any result, because of course I'm not seeing any result. All this is like not only spiking up my cortisol, it's fucking up my hormones, my periods are getting delayed, and I'm just eating chocolate and feeling guilt, and everything's going south. Like, it's becoming crazy. Another tell was the fact that my feed, the algorithm was literally just serving me workout and meal content to become thin, skinny, this, lose weight fast, blah blah blah. That was a huge part of the toxic cycle that I was stuck in. So what did I do to fix this whole situation? I realized that it had to start with stopping whatever I was trying to achieve, getting clarity on why I was doing this in the first place, realizing that if I need to change myself so that somebody else likes me, I don't want that person. If you cannot like me for who I am, I don't want you to like me when I'm 10 times hotter. I decided not to judge myself for all the hate and the cycle and the guilt that I've gone through, instead to replace that with compassion for myself and realizing that it's a journey and I have to be patient with myself and I'll slowly make changes. The balance is disrupted, right? So if you've been obsessively trying to do something and it's not working out and your balance in your life is disrupted, you can't just directly get this down and then also get your result. First, you need to come to a balance. So you stop what you're doing. You need to come to a balance of a healthy body and mind situation. It's also the indecision. When you have decided something, but then you don't know if you allow yourself to eat 1, 2, or 3. When it is fixed, right? You know. But when you don't know, is the indecision causes a lot of anxiety and stress as well. I learned about my menstrual cycle and how hormonal shifts impacts my nutrition and my needs that day. For example, our body, as women, we have 4 cycles. So we have the menstrual phase, followed by the follicular phase, the ovulatory phase, and the luteal phase. So in the luteal phase, just before you get your period, your body is going to crave more food, more chocolate. There is a little bit of imbalance, which is natural to an extent. And what the foods that I can eat during those times to hack my happy hormones. And also I learned about seed syncing and food syncing with my cycles, and also the kind of workouts you're supposed to do during different phases of your cycle. Then slowly, without feeling a compulsion or restriction, okay, and Osho has said this, is that anything that you're addicted to, right, just exploit that substance. And I would not say that if you were doing like hard drugs or something. I just feel like this strategy works for me because like I'm addicted to food at max, which for example, I remember when I was a kid, I really liked eating noodles, and I liked it so much that I could not stop eating it. So my mom kept making noodles for the whole week, and then I got so sick of eating noodles, and now I don't like noodles at all. Like I never eat noodles, and it's just like out of my system. And how? So just like in your head, you need to know that there is no restriction, there is no compulsion. You can eat how much you want. I have control, I have freedom, I have free will. Like that is important for your brain to know. So I ate without restriction, letting myself eat how many ever pieces of chocolate that I wanted without any guilt or judgment, because I trusted myself in my journey. Then slowly my craving just reduced, and some weeks of the month I didn't even crave it. Okay, then I reduced it to 1 piece of chocolate. Then eventually I just stopped buying chocolate, and because it was not at home, because I did not have the resource of it, and then I couldn't eat it, I forgot about it, and then I didn't care about the chocolate. But I still felt that craving because my brain is conditioned to eating something sweet after a meal, right? So I decided to replace it with a date. I started eating Majtool dates, and Majtool dates are high in calories and they have a lot of sugar. So it is good. It's definitely a healthier substitute, but it is not insanely healthy if you eat a lot. Sometimes I would eat 2 dates because I was just craving it, and it was okay. You can't judge yourself. Just be patient with it. Now I've reached a stage where I'm eating half a date after a meal because I don't need more. But at the same time, if I need to eat more, I will eat it, and sometimes I don't even eat it and I'm good to go. It's not a compulsion anymore. And this has happened just by being patient and slowly letting go and allowing myself what my body needed at that time without judging it, without going in a cycle of guilt. Whenever I get into these fitness phases, I've counted calories and I'm going into I'm working out with a rigorous routine and constantly making plans and what exercises I need to do, blah blah blah. Now my focus moved to just developing a good and happy relationship with food and with working out. So I have stopped forming a plan about what I'm going to do. No, none of that. I learned that I like to do different things every day. So I do Pilates thrice a week, and then the other days I either walk, or I'm just doing some home workouts, or I go to the gym for some HIIT, or I don't do anything. I realized that by joining a class that was guided like Pilates, because I have an instructor who's constantly telling me what to do, I take the decision out of the whole process, and it really helps me because I don't waste my time worrying and stressing about doing the best workout to get the best result, then be consistent with it. It's taking away so many decision points of my day, especially in the morning. So I don't want to be involved in that. I just show up to the class and then he takes care of the rest and then I'm done. Another big tip is that when you're eating dessert or anything that you're craving and you are giving into that need, while you're eating it, be very present. literally enjoy. Like if I'm eating a date, feel the date, okay, look at it, smell it, then take a small bite. Try to like you're a food connoisseur, okay? Like try to give me like the notes, like all the points, the texture, the thickness, the sweetness, the ripeness, blah blah blah, like whatever it is. Try to be so present while eating it that you will realize and you can listen to your body's cue when you're done eating it. You don't have to finish the whole thing in that moment. Whether it's dessert, anything, right? Like just be present while eating it, because mindfully eating makes you more aware of how much your body actually needs instead of just stuffing yourself. Because when you're watching a show, you just keep eating. So that so many times I will eat an extra portion just because I want to watch more of the show and I don't want to get back to work. But my body doesn't need that extra portion. So mindful eating really helps me be in control and balance of what I'm eating intuitively. I'm in this phase right now where I'm not strict with myself in terms of food, and this has happened slowly. In fact, I've reached a point where I'm starting to eat like early dinners, because I saw in a video that you should complete your dinner by like sunset, and I really like that idea, because a lot of people in the past India, like from old Indians from like generations ago, and my grandparents always have done this, and it's really good for your digestion, and it's a natural way to do intermittent fasting. You also sleep better when you don't eat closer, and I walk, all of that. I hope to get back into the discipline of nutrition and exercise eventually in my life, but where it is stemming from love and not from pressure. But I love movement because of how I feel after it. Like mentally, it just feels so good after I'm done with Pilates. More than anything, I love my body. I love how unique it is, how curvy it is, how feminine it is, and I naturally stand out from everybody. And even if I was in a room full of girls with the exact same body type as mine, I would still celebrate it, because there is nothing wrong with looking this way and there is nothing right looking this way either. The point is that you can romanticize anything, because everything is a standard and nothing is. So you might as well just believe that your body is the standard. And I think at this phase in my life, I have made peace with the fact that I will have different phases in my life where I will be different levels of fit, no matter how much I'm taking care of myself, because it will be externally affected in terms of my age, how much my stress level is, what is my work situation, if I'm having kids, all of that. So my body will go through those changes, and it's natural, and there should be acceptance and love for it regardless of how it's looking in the mirror. And guys, you know what? So like this whole like self-love thing, I'm still coming to terms with it. Like I haven't rotted enough in it, but I've been feeling it so strongly inside that I just had to tell you, like I had to put you on this. Because no matter how you end up looking, even if you become the fittest version of yourself, every time you see a mirror, and if you think how you should look, or your brain immediately looks at what's wrong, know that that is externally decided for you. And it's a standard that is externally created. And there are literally studies that prove that your brain does not see your body accurately. It shows that people who have body issues, right, they tend to perceive their parts as bigger or wrong because they've already insecure about it. And this is called perceptual body image distortion, where your brain is exaggerating the flaws that might not even exist. The more you focus on certain features on your body, whether it's your arms, thighs, like your butt, whatever, the more distorted it's going to get. And like you actually don't even have an accurate idea of how it looks anymore. And also, the more obsessively you keep like trying to like look at your body in pictures and mirrors or reflections, the worse it becomes, because your brain is strengthening the negative pathways connected to that insecurity. And this is called neuroplasticity. So the more you repeat a thought, the stronger the belief becomes, even if it's false. The good part is that you can use this positively by saying affirmations that you love your body, that the way you look is absolutely perfect, that you are the most stunning girl on this earth, that you feel gorgeous, that you walk like you are a literal goddess. And you own it. I want you to like practice doing this, where you're completely naked, you look at yourself in the mirror and you keep staring at yourself. Become very used to the way your body looks, because it's beautiful as it looks and that's how it's supposed to look. And just say kind, good words to yourself till you become used to, till in your head you realize that this is how you're supposed to look, not something that you saw on social media that is most likely distorted and face-tuned. Psychologically, another thing that you can do to repair your body image is be aware every time you are negatively saying something, like your self-talk internally. When you look at yourself, like you should be able to say good things. And if you can't, you need to practice and undo it and be very. First, you write down everything that you think is wrong with your body, okay? Then I want you to replace that. You ask ChatGPT to prove you wrong and why your body is a literal goddess. And then you hear that every single day till that becomes your belief. Another great way is that I keep my childhood picture, like my chubby ass self, as my wallpaper, and I often look at it because I realize that there is no way can I tell her that she's not perfect, that she's thick, or that she is not skinny, or that she's not gorgeous, because I think she's just a ball of light and energy and full of love and excitement, and just that to me is just so much stronger. And honestly, I think I was really like cute and good looking even as a child. So it doesn't matter how I looked, because if I can't talk to my younger self and my inner child like that, nobody else gets to talk to me that way. Also, from a spiritual perspective, right? Like, your body is just a vessel, it's not your identity. We are souls having a human experience. So your physical body is temporary, constantly changing, aging, evolving. The obsession with perfection comes from ego, the part of us that believes that we are only our appearance. Start seeing yourself as beyond your body. Instead of thinking, I'm my body, I'm not the body, and I'm not even the mind. Shift your focus to your health instead of the way you look, how you feel after you eat certain foods, how is your energy level throughout the day, how strong do you feel when you work out. Like, challenge yourself to be able to do more every time, not because of how you will look aesthetically, but just because you are becoming stronger. It is something that naturally will release dopamine and endorphins. Like, chase natural sources of dopamine instead of artificial ones. Also, it's so important to regulate your nervous system with EFT tapping, with breath work, with journaling, with meditation. All this is a process. You have to be patient and do it every day. It's like a muscle, right? You got to build it to be consistent with it. Oh my god, another great, okay, I have to tell you a story about exposure therapy. So because I was conscious of my thighs, I just reached a phase where I was not wearing anything short, because I just did not like how my legs were looking in it. Like, I was not happy with it. I'd stopped wearing skirts, especially, and like shorts, because I just wanted to be perceived that no, like, I am that girl. I could be in a magazine if I wanted to. Why can't I be on a magazine right now with the way that I look? What is wrong with that, and who is deciding that, first of all? Regardless, because of this newfound love that I've stumbled upon, I wore a skirt to an event, and it wasn't that like short of a skirt or whatever, but I actually felt like the way I looked, like my thighs and my knees, even though nothing has changed. Let me tell you, I've gone for 3 Pilates classes, so like not a lot has happened. But I just felt like I looked so gorgeous, that the outfit was fucking banging, and I just felt like I looked perfect. Like, I looked absolutely stunning. And I'm not exaggerating at all. Like, this is how I felt. So even though I was on my period, I decided to not wear jeans and wear a skirt, because I was like, you know what? I have not felt this confident about my legs in a long time. So using exposure therapy, if you do not like a certain body part, you need to desensitize yourself to it. Stop hiding or covering it. Wear the outfit and train your brain to stop seeing it as something that is wrong in your body. Instead, you know what to do. And start practicing body gratitude. Like, I love my stomach for how it supports me, for digestion, for how it carries me. I love my legs for being so strong, for taking me, carrying me. I can do so many different types of workouts because of my body, my legs, my strength. You can also visualize yourself feeling extremely comfortable, happy, confident, at ease, with no matter what type of clothes you wear, where you are, who's around you. It does not matter. You feel the same regardless internally. Visualize that and it'll become your reality. Your body is a gift, and it's given you so much, and you're upset because it is not shaped or sized in a particular way that the world considers acceptable or attractive. That's so stupid. And by no means do I want to promote unhealthy ways of eating or lifestyle. None of that. I'm just saying, I have reached a stage where I am eating lesser and I'm working out more consistently. But the reason has shifted from a lack of love to because I want to do it, because I want to feel my healthiest and be in and show up in the best possible version of myself mentally and physically. Also, like, simply thinking I'm gorgeous how I look, because I am. Like, that's a fact. Whatever is done, first you gotta undo your obsession, and then you develop the relationship in a healthy way with love, and then slowly you can start building things that you want to. That's it. Allow yourself everything. Don't go into that mind trap of restriction. Find better alternatives. Stop internalizing other people's standards and body image as your own. Create your own. Anytime somebody else has an opinion about your body, whether it's good or bad, even if it's good, in your head you should be offended. Who the hell are you to validate me? Who are you? Nobody. Only I. That privilege is only in my control. At the end of the day, your body image is not just about how you look, it's also about how you see yourself. You could be literally any shape or size, but if you believe that you're stunning, the whole world is going to reflect that energy and think that you are. So, you know what's the real glow up? It's not weight loss, it's not abs, it's not a perfect thigh gap. It's detaching from body obsession, healing your self worth, and choosing self love regardless of trends. Confidence, that is the most attractive thing in a person. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was so personal to me, and I can't believe I have made an episode about this, talking about all my insecurities and my journey. But I really hope it helps. Even if it helps like one person out and you can resonate with it, I feel like it'd be worth sharing it on the internet. Whatever I've said is based on my experience. I'm obviously not an expert. If you think you need help and you're in deep shit, like, you should get help for it, because you are worth it. You deserve all the help. You deserve all the healing. I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.